So we're going to go through the presentation of what exactly it is the district is facing. So because we are at the IR 6th year, House Bill 1842 and House Bill 1882 apply to Wheatley High School. Under House Bill 1842, the Texas Education Agency can either appoint a board of managers, order campus closure, or order alternate management for the campus. The district options under 1842 are closure restart or to exercise our rights through 1882 partnership. Under 1882, in order to receive a 2-year accountability and additional funding, the additional funding is option. It depends on some other things that we'll let Grenita Lathan talk about later. But the options are a partnership with a nonprofit, a partnership with an institution of higher learning, and a charter with charter operators. Those are our 3 options. The only other option outside of this that we can exercise is to order the school closed. We, the Board of Education, has said adamantly to the superintendent and his administration that we will not close any of our schools. When the schools close down permanently, that means that school can never reopen, it can never have that name again, and it can never have that school ID number. So we are not going to exercise the option of a permanent closure. So that leaves us with these things: closure restart or partnership. Those are our only options other than closure. Or 5 and 6? Okay. Well, she went up. So, IR 5 and 6, I heard somebody had a question about that. So IR means improvement required. That means that the school has not met standard for it's 4 years. And when we're at the 4-year mark, we have to make a decision about the 5th year. Some of our schools are in IR 3, and we're choosing to go ahead before they go into 4 and make a decision about those schools as well. Does that answer your question? Oh. Yeah, IR is improvement required. So looking at the timelines, August 15th, go back. Okay, if Wheatley High School does not exit IR, which is improvement required, by August 15th, the commissioner shall impose sanctions. That means the law says that he has to, not may, but shall. He shall order appointment of a board of managers or order closure of the campus, unless we do something in advance of that. And the only things we can do in advance of that are the options that we just talked about. So, highlights of Senate Bill 1882, and this was passed in 2017. Support services and infrastructure such as finance, budget, facilities, and technology. And responsibility of the partners are decisions around people, time, money, academics, and governance. So the quandary we have is decisions around people, time, money, academics, and governance. Well, TEA listed Johns Hopkins as a partner. We are free to choose them as a partner. However, they do academics. We've chosen them, but they do not do people, time, money, governance. They do academics, and they said that to us. We are submitting the partnership with board approval on just the academics, because that's the only piece they do. Whether the state accepts that or not, we hope they do. But if they want someone else, and we chose them from the state list, so they are an option, but they have been clear that they don't do those other pieces. So if the state does not approve our plan based on that, then they'll go forward with either allowing us to redo the plan or imposing sanctions. The plan to the state is due by April 30th. The board meeting is April 12th. So we have to have a decision around what we're going to submit by April 12th.
From administration, we are proposing, and these are proposals, that's why we're coming out over throughout the next month, getting feedback from you. But we also have to be honest with you as a community and the city of Houston, every resident here, that a takeover or appointment of a board of managers affects all 284 campuses. People think it's only impacting the 10 schools. 200 board of managers would replace an elected board. So it's not just replacing Trustee Skillen Jones or Trustee Wanda Adams, I know she's here somewhere. It's replacing all 9. And those 9 do not have to live in the city of Houston or live in the areas or in our communities. And I think that's the disconnect. People think it's just the 10 schools. They will make decisions around which schools remain open. They will look at enrollment. And I'll give you an example. One of our favorite schools is right across the walkway here, right on the other side of the park. Nat Q. I thought I saw Eric. How many students do you have?
I am at
310. Prior to my tenure here, I know there was a recommendation on the table, probably what, 2013-14, to do what to Nat Q? Close it down. If we lose control, the small schools that are under 500 or less, those recommendations could possibly come. So that's why we want to make sure everyone understands it's not just the 10 schools. This is a HISD conversation for the entire community. But we have to have a backup plan. And I simply put it like this. The state has basically told us on August the 15th, they're going to evict us based on 10 schools. And if you get evicted, your stuff is going to be on the street, and you got to have a backup plan, right? That's what we're doing, is working on a backup plan to present to the Board of Education, and then asking them to take a vote on April 12th. Once again, one option for the board is not to take a vote, and they can wait till August the 15th. We can wait for the results. But let me give you another example. I thought you said you had somebody's doing a scholarship. Which one of your students in here? You said somebody had a scholarship or they signed to a school? Alicia, do you know offhand how many credits it takes to graduate from HISD? 26, you said 26, right? Let me give you another example, a reason we're standing in front of you. The state has decided, I'm using graduation credits because that's easier for us to all understand, has decided they're going to change the number of credits our students need to graduate. Let's just say they're making a state law around that. But they're not going to tell us until late April, 1st of May, right before we take the test, how many credits we need. And it's a month before graduation. You understand, the rules have not been finalized as it relates to Senate Bill 1882. That will be finalized on February 26th. So we're kind of finding our way. I can't see a thing when I take these off. If I see you raving at me in the back of the room, I see something red, that's what we're doing. We're kind of finding our way around in the dark. Also, as it relates to accountability, the metric or the standard is changing. That goes back to those graduation requirements. We won't know those until maybe April, 1st of May, right before students sit for the STAR test. We've asked the state to give us a pause, not only HISD, but every hurricane-impacted school district in the state of Texas. We've asked them for a pause on accountability and a pause on sanctions. We have not heard from the commissioner. If you recall, about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, even the governor sent the commissioner a letter saying, I support basically the recommendation that we wait, but the commissioner hasn't given us an answer.
It is just truly an honor. I count it a privilege, a blessing to serve as a new principal at Wheatley High School. So many distinguished individuals have sat in this role, and again, I count it all joy. I'm excited, okay? I've served, as Ms. Skillen Jones has shared, in this community. I started my career at Appleton Elementary as a teacher. I served as principal at Dogan, and I just thank God that he led me back, kind of came all first full circle. I saw my former students back to the beloved Fifth Ward community. Let me just point out a few things as it relates to the program that we're looking to partner with. Number one, it's going to be a line model with the school district and leadership vision. We do know we have Achieve 180 in place, and it is in line with our goals of the district. School leadership, there's going to be support and communication between both parties. We truly want it to be just that, a partnership. It's not that someone's coming in and just taking over that, so to speak. We have a lot of good systems and processes in place already, and we certainly want to work with them to enhance and refine those systems so we can best support our scholars. Master schedule that allows for interdisciplinary teacher teams who share common students and a common planning time and extended learning during the school day. This is an awesome thing here because this helps teacher teams get to know their scholars better. All right, and so we can do a lot of peer observation and helping to build teacher capacity as it relates to that. But again, I'm more excited about teachers really getting to know their scholars here. Professional development, there's going to be time and collaboration that they're going to provide for us, John Hopkins. And then what I'm most excited about is accelerated curriculum. So this is so important because we do serve a large at-risk population, and we have students that unfortunately are behind grade level. So at-risk meaning defined as below grade level. And we just need to catch them up. And so that was the one thing I was most excited about Johns Hopkins program, is that they do offer these accelerated courses that can help our scholars get caught up. So we're going to get support from Johns Hopkins in peer coaching, all right? Teachers learning from one another. So when we do have that master teacher that is down the hallway, having that novice teacher or that teacher that is growing to go in that classroom and learn from that individual. So we're excited about that. Read-only data access, student-level data. The bottom line is we need to know where our kids are at. So we have to know the data, we have to know what they don't know so we can get them where we want them to be. And so we'll be working closely with Johns Hopkins on that. And then finally, desire and time for collaboration. Again, collaborating with their team to enhance and strengthen our systems. Real quick, go to the next one slide there. We have 4 pillars and core components. As I touched base just a minute ago, there's teacher teams and small learning communities. Again, this is very powerful because again, we get to know the scholars better, teachers can work closer together, and so Johns Hopkins is gonna help us structure that. Curriculum and instruction with professional development. Again, not to be redundant, but a part of that curriculum is those accelerated courses. Tiered student supports, okay? So in the spirit of equity, making sure that we provide students what they need. So when we do have that scholar that needs that intense intervention to help them get caught up in reading and math, giving them some additional support. So excited about that. And finally, probably the most important thing, a can-do culture and climate. Number one, having high expectations for our scholars. But it starts with us, and teachers always hear me say this. It's adults that change the behavior of the scholars. So it needs to start with us and having teachers those high expectations for our scholars and pushing them and believing in them, letting them know that, hey, you can do this. So that's so important. So, I'm anxious to learn some ideals from Johns Hopkins in that, and supporting our scholars. Finally, just the organization of a talent development high school. Again, this goes back to the teacher teams. So one thing they're really going to emphasize or focus on is a 9th grade academy. We understand that at 9th grade, scholars, it's a transition grade, and sometimes scholars are they're still trying to find themselves and so forth. So I like that we're going to be providing them with some additional support to make sure that they're on the right track or path to be successful in high school. Then we have career academy leaders. We're going to have 2 other academy leaders and a TDS school transformation facilitator. Again, that's for it's a team that's going to support our teachers so we can provide the best instruction for our scholars. So I really like this structure here because it's really going to break down and we can really get closer to our scholars here. And I think finally,